HubSpot user group in Buffalo.
Oh, what's this up? What is this? What is this, bro?
Never heard that before.
And then I have to select to continue. Wow, dude, no more. I guess there's a lawsuit pending over at Zoom.
There must be.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I can't, sneak attack while you're like talking shit about your wife or something.
Yeah. I wonder if sometimes I'll do like screen grabs, like secret screen grabs.
Yeah.
I wonder if it'll still allow me to do, let me see. I'm going to try to do a screen grab of you. See if it will let me do this. It's letting me do it.
I just did it. Yeah.
Now, did you hear that? Did you hear that little sound that I made? Oh, nope. Good. All right. So you can still do the secret screen grab. Nice.
Cool.
Awesome. What were we saying though? We were going to say something. So anyway, are you guys can we let's just do this. Let's get this one done and then go over there and then I'll come join you for a little bit. I got to be home I told Meredith 5:30 and she gave me the look it has to be 5:30 and don't tell me it's 5:30 and that ends up being 5:50 when we got to be in East Aurora at 6:15. So I'm thinking if I am, it'd be even better if I'm leaving at 4:45 so that we get through this, get done, get over there. That's giving me an hour or so. I can hang with you guys,
Sure.
That work?
Yeah. I know Paul's going over there. I think he said 4 and he's meeting with somebody. And so it'll mostly, I think that entire time it'll be just mostly you and I, but I think we can handle that.
Yeah, I feel good about that. Hey, are you into hot water music or were you into hot water music?
I used to be very much so. Yeah.
Dude,
I mean, I would say I still sort of am, but
do you know?
Are they boiling now? No, I don't know.
No, they asked me to go on tour with them. No, they didn't. But they're coming to Buffalo. Cool. November 11th, dude. I already got my tickets.
Nice. That's awesome.
It's going to be like 1998 all over again.
Yeah. Or for me, like 2002 or 3, because
close enough.
I'm quite a bit younger. 1998, I wasn't really allowed to go to shows myself.
Yeah. No, I was there with my parents, but still, I still go to shows with my parents.
I was 30.
With my parents, though. It's cool.
I do too now. Yeah, absolutely. All right.
So what up?
Yeah. Should we do a podcast so that we can do this banter at a bar?
Yeah. I thought we were doing a podcast right now.
Oh, shoot. All right, cool. Yeah. Well, now that the pressure's on, I'm
Eric and you're Matt. We like ads. Podcast. This is a podcast. It's about ads that we like.
I'm incredibly excited for this one.
Humana.
Yeah. Thank you for pointing out my stutter. I've been working on that all my life. I really appreciate that. Actually, I'm the one being offensive because I don't really have a stutter and I haven't been working on it all my life. Dude, and there's a lot of people that are, so I should probably stop.
Yeah, I'm sure the strongly worded emails are being written as we speak.
By my mother. Matt, you shouldn't do that.
That was insensitive, Matt.
Yeah. Okay. Backing up here, I'm excited for this one, and you don't know this, but it was this ad and a couple of others, which we will get to in due time, that kind of influenced my decision to not only want to do a podcast like this, but to ask you to do the podcast, because I had posted something about, it was, I think you and I were in a thread talking on LinkedIn, and I had mentioned Sir John Haggerty. And,
yes.
And I sent you an interview with him talking about this ad and 2 others. And that was when you, whatever your response was, it was good. It was great. Like all of your smart ass, semi smart ass responses, but still filled with, genuine interest. I was like, you know what? Yeah. Instead of having somebody new on each week who may or may not like ads, I was like, I'm just gonna ask this guy, you know. And then I think a week
guy
later,
looks like he likes ads.
Yeah. Then a week later, I was like, you know, I had a couple of too many pops on lunch one day, and it's like, I'm gonna ask him. Who cares? Worst case scenario, he says no.
And here we are, months later, on top of the world, on top of the advertising world.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm very excited about this one. I have a little bit of research done on it.
Okay.
And I genuinely just love this ad. So why don't we just dive right into it?
Do it. Are you doing it?
I'm working on it.
Just go ahead. Just go ahead and do it.
How do I do this? I've never done this before.
Oh, something's happening.
Oh, I forgot. I have to turn off my AirPods now.
You have a lot of windows open. Oh, man. A lot of bookmarks too.
This is where it's supposed to be.
Is this supposed to be a white screen like that? Like just a blank browser? Oh, there it is.
Oh, hang on. Because I turned off my AirPods, I can't hear you.
Oh, bro.
This is rough. There we go.
There do we go? I'm trying to figure out how to there do we go? Do we go? There we go?
Oh my goodness.
You're lagging a little bit, bro.
And now it disappeared.
Yeah.
There we are.
Like I said, on top of the advertising world.
Can you hear that?
Oh, yeah. I can hear it, yeah.
Hereby bequeath the following. To my wife Rose, who spent money like there was no tomorrow, I leave $100 and a calendar. To my sons, Rodney and Victor, who spent every dime I ever gave them on fancy cars and fast women, I leave $50 in dimes. To my business partner, Jules, whose only motto was spend. I leave nothing. And to my other friends and relatives who also never learned the value of $1, I leave $1. Finally, to my nephew Harold, who oft-times said, a penny saved is a penny earned, and who also oft-times said, gee, Uncle Max, it sure pays to own a Volkswagen. I leave my entire fortune of $100 million.
So that's fantastic. I mean,
but did it sell any cars?
Oh, I don't know. So, uh-oh.
Probably a lot of them.
I must not hit. There we go. Probably didn't sell any cars at all. In fact, pretty well known that the Think Small campaign that this is a part of, didn't do anything for Volkswagen whatsoever. But yeah,
everybody knows that.
Yeah, this is a part of the Think Small campaign, which I think is probably one of the most well-known campaigns. Of all time for any brand or anything like that. Written by, in my research, I found that it was written by a man by the name of John Noble. It's produced by DDB. And John Noble eventually became, I believe, their art director, creative director, whichever, years later. And you can kind of see why. He had multiple campaigns like this. I did read, and I wasn't able to verify, but I did read that this is one of, I think, 5 advertisements in the Natural History Museum or some major museum. And I was like, huh. And I wasn't able to verify it in any way. But yeah, I did read that, and I was kind of shocked by that, because I don't think this particular spot is particularly well known. At least
no, I had not seen it. Am I feeding back on your end?
No.
Okay. Good. I was hearing it before. That's why we'll just, Patrick, this part, seriously, just cut this part out. All right.
Yeah.
So I did not, I was not aware of this spot until you shared it, I think that first time. Like I'd never seen it. And of course I immediately loved it.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I had never seen it before.
It's yeah, I mean, it's very clearly expertly written. I love like the detail in the copy, right? Like the names, the, you know, and just
yeah, I got that, like Maxwell E. Schneebly, right?
Yeah, spend, you know, like I for some reason I just like that was fantastic for me. Apparently the art director at the time, like this was a neat tidbit because this stuck out to me. He was inspired to do this because he saw like a line of cars, just like I believe out in the wild, and there was a Beetle there. And so there were all of these, you know, massive, at the time, this was 1969, late 60s. And then the little Beetle. And he was like, well, that is like there it is right there. Yeah. And like, that's where he got the idea of think small for all of this. And then in this spot, I love just the line of whatever they are, Rolls Royces or whatever gigantic, you know.
Yeah, I think like a Cadillac or a Lincoln or something like that is what I took them as. Yeah.
Whatever. And then this like tiny little Volkswagen following behind. You know, it's just eye grabbing. You know, definitely a memorable thing to see.
Oh, it's a visual feast.
Right. It absolutely is. And another thing that's I mean, that sticks out for everybody is that here they are, a dead man selling you a car, essentially, in this ad, right? Like, could you imagine walking into a client and saying, so here's the guy that we're going to get to sell the car. He's dead. And he's selling it to you at his own funeral, right? Like,
through the process of reading his will.
Right,
he's reciting his own will, which I think is actually one of the things that completely, I think, escapes your kind of like rational mind, right? Like you're watching the spot, you're hearing him speak, and you're just so engaged and entertained by the whole experience that I don't think you know that it's the dead guy that's reading it, but it doesn't register to you that like this isn't realistic, that you're watching this thing happen while the dead guy is reciting his will, right? You know, like it's bizarre, really, when you think about it, but it totally just, it's acceptable, right? You suspend your disbelief and
And could you, I mean, really, like this was like the late 60s. This would be somewhat, I mean, go into any car, you know, manufacturer and pitch them this exact idea. I think a lot of them are going to say no, right?
Yeah.
In the 60s, for Volkswagen to say yes and like embrace this as like their entire like identity was just, I mean, whoever was the person that, or the people that signed off on this whole campaign, like good for them, because I think today you would have trouble getting that bought. That said, I think if you made this ad again, I think there's very little that you would change to it. Right. Like I can't come up with anything that I would go, you know, I love the whole thing, but I would change this. Right. I don't think there's a single thing.
What is the fortune that he leaves? Is it $400 billion?
$100 billion.
Is it 100 or whatever it is? It's still like an enormous sum of money now. But think about that, though. That probably would have been even more absurd back in 1969 to say that amount of money.
Unfathomable amount of money. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think what would have been the richest man in the world back then? Maybe a billionaire, like maybe, but
I don't know. I don't know.
But
I didn't do the homework on that part, but yeah, no, absolutely. There's so many little elements like that, like so looking at the copy, the $100 billion, the names, Maxwell E. Schneebly, you know, the leaving his wife $100 and a calendar, and then he's leaving his sons, his nephews, whoever they are, right? The $50 or whatever it was in dimes.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just little things like that. Those little details, like the calendar, the in dimes, the amount of money, right? Like the names, just it's very, yeah. And of course I think the voice actor, I think, you know, it was a good choice in terms of like, you know, quality and style of voice and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, very well done. Trying to think there's other little details. I think visually those cues of the line of cars, it's interesting to see, and certainly how they showed that like final shot of them on that highway. I think I read somewhere, and I guess this is just internet stuff, so who knows how exactly true this was. But that was a new like highway or throughway in like Westchester County that had not yet opened, and they were using it for this, I guess.
It certainly did like occur to me that was obviously a very new at the time road, and that it was obviously very empty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of just a cool little tidbit that I found. But I think that the significance of the, I mean, because they are trying to sell cars, right? And they're trying to sell Volkswagens. And you're right, it is good contextually to understand that this is part of that Think Small campaign, and that at the time, cars were enormous. They were boats, right? They were these huge things. And obviously, so you see in this procession of vehicles, there's all these enormous cars. And then there's the one at the back, who's at the back, and at that closing shot, you notice that the other cars are stacked. They're bumper to bumper, but not this car. Mm-hmm. Harold is in the back, and he's distanced a little way. So visually, they're telling you that when you drive a Volkswagen, you're separating yourself from the pack. So the idea of individuality, which this is the late 60s, right? This is the like cultural revolution that's going on. They're saying, you can be an individual. And culturally speaking, at that time, that's the me generation, right? That was the whole idea. You know, the boomers, that was their thing. And so they definitely were tapping in to that kind of, you know, esprit de corps. And you're also saying, look, if you like all these people that don't get the real money, that were selfish, that had all these character flaws about them, that you as the viewer are like, oh, those people suck. Wouldn't want to be like those people. Yeah, well, then you don't want to drive like a Cadillac or a Lincoln or whatever the heck these cars are, these big boats. What you want to drive, you want to be like Harold. Harold's the good guy. Harold's the compassionate guy. Harold's the one that makes good, smart choices, right? You know, and he's driving the Volkswagen. He's driving the Beetle. So I think just from a like symbolic standpoint, they had that going on. And, you know, I like to kind of like get in and geek out onto that sort of stuff. I don't have much more about that for this spot. But I definitely think that they thought about that. They said symbolically, what are we trying to accomplish here? And how can we show that through the characters in the ad, through the copy, the voiceover in the ad, and then visually how we paint the picture. So yeah, all around. I mean, this is DDB, right? So
yeah.
You know much about them?
I mean, I know that like they with this campaign and probably others, somewhat revolutionized kind of the advertising world. I know that I don't know. I believe that they were one of the first agencies where like the art directors and the like copywriters and all of that, they worked together. Like it wasn't just
That's
like
true.
one or the other leading. Like it was like, hey, this is
they
all
did it
one
as
thing.
teams. Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, not a ton.
Okay. So I mean, I'm not saying I know a ton either, but I know the B stands for Birnbach. All right. And I'm not saying that the two D's, I think Dane one stands for Dane.
Dane Doyle and Birnbach.
There you go. Yeah. And I'm sure they were like prolific in their own, you know, right as well. Yeah, but Bill Birnbach obviously has a lot more like, you know, street cred in some ways. And yeah, so they definitely did revolutionize, I think, the approach, from what I understand, to advertising, and we're part of that creative revolution. So yeah, I think their most well-known campaign was for Volkswagen, but do you know some of the others that they were responsible for along the way?
I mean, I know that I've probably seen them, but not
I'm sure you do. Well, you do. You just don't know what the names are, right? Yeah. So let me give you. Have you heard of Juan Valdez?
No.
Come on, really? Juan Valdez, the coffee dude, the guy who's got the coffee beans on the donkey, like Colombian coffee, Juan Valdez, the Juan Valdez, who I believe is like a made up fictional kind of character, right? But so they were responsible for Juan Valdez, very successful. They were responsible for Mikey, Life cereal. I mean, no slouch there. Mikey likes it. Are you kidding me? Right?
Yeah.
Which shows their versatility, right? You've got the Volkswagen thing and Think Small and Lemon and this, this funeral spot and the whole campaign. Then you've got Mikey, and then you've got Juan Valdez. And you also have, at Avis, we try harder. We're not number one. We just try harder. And they said this is like, you might call that a challenger brand now. They termed it, or it was termed, the idea of underdog advertising. So they're saying that these folks at DDB pioneered the notion of underdog advertising. And that slogan, we try harder, that thing stuck around for 50 years. Avis used it from 1962 to 2012. Holy hell, right? Yeah. Like that tells you something, So and there's some other campaigns that they did that I was just a little less and I feel like we're not quite as prolific or relevant now because they're brands that are maybe not around anymore. Well, Polaroid's one of them, which is Polaroid kind of around, sort of?
Yeah, they're kind of back.
Sort of.
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
They had done something for Polaroid, and they did something for Levy's bread. And I guess it was something like you don't have to be Jewish to enjoy Levy's bread or something like that. So, which is obviously also kind of like the Volkswagen-esque kind of, humorous kind of provocative approach. So anyway, so DDB, kind of a big deal.
A little bit.
Back, just some really cool stuff. And this is a very, very well done spot. I'm glad that you selected it for this week. And when you put it on the list originally, I was like, oh yeah, for sure. I feel like, we put things on that list and they all kind of belong on the list, but there's certain ones that are like, maybe we should actually make another list. We should make another list for the really exceptional ones, and I feel like this one would be, if not at the top, near the top of the list for truly exceptional ads, that again, still today, just, I don't know. It works. You know what I mean? And that's the other, it's like, how old is that ad? And you can watch that ad and it still works. I don't know that right now it makes you want to go buy a Volkswagen compared to others. Right. But the point is you can still appreciate it and it's still relevant in terms of what it's saying to you, what's underpinning the kind of ostensible message. Right.
So and look at what this did to the automobile industry, right? And of course there's other factors, right? The 70s, like the gas crisis, all of that obviously helped, probably a whole lot more than this. But this, sure. I think this was like the start of it's okay to have a smaller vehicle, like an economy car, right? It's okay to drive this. Doesn't make you any less of a man, because let's face it, back then it was mostly men making that decision. I think you could even make the argument that even today in a lot of families, that's still kind of like the same way that works. It's why, a lot of car commercials, you sort of see a lot of men in it instead of, women, whatever. But if you ran this today, I think it would still be effective. But maybe less so because there's so much out there that are small vehicles, right? So I don't know where I just lost my train of thought here.
Let me help you. I feel like Volkswagen has continued in many ways, kind of the tradition of having really exceptional advertising, right? So they had for the Jetta back in the early 2000s, they had that one, I can't remember the name. I don't know, something about I don't know if it's synchronicity or it's the synchronized one though, where like the wipers are moving, there's a song that's playing, the lights are flashing and the blinker and the people are even walking like to the beat. It's all very, very, very well done. And I think that's a great ad as well. A great ad.
Do you remember the Da 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 song ad? I think we already talked about this once.
Yeah.
I really liked that. Like that. I mean, that was earlier. That had to have been like mid-90s.
Well, how about Farfignugan? Remember Farfignugan?
Yeah.
Another kind of I think standout. In recent years, how about the one with the kid pretending to be Darth Vader? This one. So the I don't know if it's a Jetta or if it's a Passat, but it's in the driveway. I think the dad is in the kitchen. I don't know if he's washing dishes, but he can kind of see. And I don't know necessarily a son. It could be a daughter. I think I took it to be a son. Maybe, I don't know. You can't tell because it's got a Darth Vader helmet on and a cape like Darth Vader, and is trying to use like the Force, right? And the dad like makes the car like lock or the lights go or like with the remote, right? And you can tell the kid's reaction. You can't see the kid's face, but the kid's reaction is like, whoa, like it worked, and it's like so well done. And because like every parent is putting their kid, right, their little kid in that
absolutely
scene. Like that's my kid doing that. And you don't even own a Jetta or a Passat, right? But it's anyway. So didn't Volkswagen, or was it someone else? I feel like Volkswagen a few years ago did the one where the accidents happened, but you didn't know the accidents were going to happen. So it's just like people driving along and then all of a sudden they get clobbered from the side. In the commercial is someone in a Volkswagen getting into an accident. I'm almost positive that this was Volkswagen that did these, and they were really powerful ads because talk about defying expectations and surprising. And this was the whole idea of them trying to say, hey, Volkswagens are really safe vehicles.
Sure wasn't. I mean, I kind of can picture it. If it wasn't Volkswagen, it was Volvo.
But I feel like it wasn't Volvo because I feel like I would remember if it was Volvo because you would expect it to be Volvo.
Right.
And I feel like Volvo, I just don't remember them doing ads like that because I feel like they're kind of too Swedish or whatever they are. Yeah, I mean, to do ads like that. I don't know.
Maybe.
I feel like these are Volkswagen. I could be wrong about this. I feel like that was Volkswagen. But the point is, whether
Swedes
that was or not.
Swedes are coming after you now. What do you mean?
Dude, bring it.
What do you mean, Erik? Why don't you expand on that?
First of all, my name's spelled E-R-I-K. Okay? Okay? So, like, bring it. Okay? You want to see what I'm capable of? Bring it. Sweden. I'm calling out the entire nation of Sweden right now on this episode of Erik and Matt Like Ads. So either my mom or your mom needs to let them know to watch this episode because I'm calling them out. Now, I don't know what that means. I feel like it's just the Volvo brand.
Yeah, no, I get
it's
it.
Always kind of like cooler and, just kind of smoother and stuff. Like, I feel like they don't do stuff. Yeah, they hammer the safety point, but I feel like they don't do stuff like that. That's, I guess, what I'm getting at. Nothing against the Swedes because I think they're beautiful people and I think Volvos are beautiful vehicles. I tried to get my wife to buy one the last time around, but I couldn't get her to. She really didn't want it. She wanted something else. I'm like, okay, this is really your car. I guess you should probably make the decision.
Yeah, right.
But I did make her test drive one. I'm not gonna lie, I made her test drive one.
So you're helping me make my point from earlier that even today men sort of feel like that's kind of their.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, what's cars have changed. All right. Lots of things have changed. You know what hasn't changed? Men. Men are still men. All right. We still think we know everything. We still think we know what's best. We still think we can fix every problem.
I, for one, do not feel like I know everything. I can't fix every problem.
Dude, this is so.
My wife's gonna watch.
So yeah, this is like. I know what you're doing right now. I know what you're doing, and you're not fooling anybody. All right.
All right.
You're a man, and you know it.
I'll stop. Yeah. So I mean, for me, like just sort of like wrapping up like this ad here, it ticks my all of my boxes, right? Memorable, motivating, truthful. Like it's memorable, right? It's a dead man selling you a car. He's reading his will. Like of course it's fucking memorable,
Yeah.
The motivating portion of it is I think really everybody wants to see themselves as kind of like reasonable people. Like there's nobody out there, very few people out there that are going to be like, yes, I'm an unreasonable person. I want to be the person that's, spend, I like, no, like we all want to see ourselves as like somewhat like we make good choices and good decisions. So that's like the motivating part. Whether or not you're ever going to buy a Beetle, who knows,
Right.
There's some motivation there.
Because it definitely brings you closer to the brand and makes you, I think, like Volkswagen more as a result.
Right. Then if it was just, hey, this is a good car, here's the specs on it. Yeah. I think it really, like going back to what I was saying, like it was great for like smart of Volkswagen to buy it, but of course they were going to buy it.
You just touched on, and I know you did this on purpose because you're brilliant like that. You just touched on, I think, a really core takeaway from this ad, and just great ads in general. They didn't do the thing that in the boardroom a lot of times people think you need to do, which is we need to compare the specs of our product or service and show them how the specs of our product or service are far superior to the specs of products of our competitors. No, they went to the type of person. They went to the values, worldview, identity level, which is where all the great ads play, all of them. Right. Yes, and that's how they got it done. And so like, again, just another reason why DDB, right. Another reason why Volkswagen, they get it.
Right. I mean, not only do they get it, but they had to get it, right? Like they had no choice. Volkswagen. There are some car companies in the 1960s that probably could have, just sold more cars based on their power, their like the square footage of their cabin, right?
Yeah.
Volkswagen wasn't that company. Like they were never going to be able to do that. Yeah. So like, how do you go about this? Well, let's turn this product kind of like limitation into a positive, right? Like here it is. We're turning this negative into a positive, and making people.
And they picked up the counterculture end of it too, right? So they really, it was really kind of, that's actually extra brilliant, right? Because they kind of took those things and fused them together.
Right. Yeah, and then I mean, for truthful, like my motivating, memorable, truthful. Like it's painfully truthful, right? Like it's like this one, I don't think I have to explain at all in any way, shape, or form. It's painfully truthful, right?
Yes.
So I mean, especially the campaign itself. Think small, like okay, well, you're not saying, oh, well, it feels bigger than it actually is. Yeah, bullshit, right? Like I'm hopping out of a 1969 Caddy and I'm getting into a Volkswagen. It's not going to feel very big, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think you're going to notice the difference. Yeah, but that's just great positioning though, right? Yes, like to your point, like you want to, technically speaking, it's just great positioning. Yeah. They did it really well. And this is why, I mean, we're not the only people that like this ad. You research this and you have other people talking about how this might be their favorite ad of all time. I mean, this is like, how many years later is this now? Is this 50? Right? Yeah. This is more than 50 years later, 52 years later. Yeah. And we're still like people that were not even alive. We were not even, I know I'm a little bit older than you, but we were not even alive when this ad came out. My parents were not even married yet.
My father was 9.
What?
My father was 9 when this came out.
Look at that. So it just shows again, the how just prolific this ad really is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just love doing this with you, Matt. No, really though, great pick. Really, you rocked it this week.
Cool, man. You too.
Thank you. Yeah, I felt pretty good about it.
Yeah, I like how we we've kind of condensed it a little bit too.
Yeah, I know, but like I think we're also trying to get to the bar, but
yeah. That's what we have to do from now on.
What we have to do is we have to set an appointment. We have a very important business appointment at the end of the week, and we want to make sure there's enough time for that meeting. But I think like this episode particularly was just so easy and smooth because I mean the ad is just so freaking great. I mean, I know we kind of now we're just tripping over ourselves to say this, but like it was just such a great ad. It's not that hard, you know, when an ad's that good. There's so much you can just obviously we're crushing on it. You know, there's just so much you can say, you know, which again just goes to show like that's, you know, great ads just operate on so many different levels. Yeah, they should sell something. Absolutely. You're spending a lot of money to create these ads and to promote them. They should sell something, but they can be a symbol of, you know, like, you know, they can be a snapshot in time like this is in a way, right? They can be a symbol of culture and what's going on there. They are art. They're sophisticated. There's a lot that goes on. And next time someone's like, how hard could it be to make an ad? I don't know, like really to make a great ad that is so simple, really freaking hard.
Right.
Really hard,
Absolutely.
Actually.
Absolutely. Yeah. To make it as simple as this one is damn near impossible. Like really.
It's like it's so simple, but it is honestly fairly complex at the same time when you look at all the elements, you know. But it comes across as like
what I'm trying to say. It feels very simple, right?
And obvious, right?
That idea. Yeah. Well, this was more than just like a good idea, right? This was like meticulously like thought out, like every word was there for a reason, right? Like absolutely. I mean, there wasn't a single wasted word in that. Also, one thing that we didn't mention, which I know we're kind of like at the end here, but that was a 60-second spot and it feels like under 30. I was literally writing some radio scripts this week, and like this ad was in my brain.
I wrote some radio scripts this week too.
Woo! Look at us. I'm sitting there, and I don't know why I got so animated there, but it's probably because I'm going to the bar.
It's a meeting. It's a very important end of the week meeting.
So it's yes, you're right. It's in my brain, this ad. And I wasn't really taking anything from it because I can't even it wouldn't translate. But as I'm like using my scripttimer.com thing to like just throw the words in to try and get myself close to 30 seconds, I'm like, how the fuck did they say so many words in 30 seconds and I didn't even notice it? And then I quick went to it and I was like, oh no, it's a 60-second spot. It's like, holy shit, it does not feel like it at all. It feels like it's in and out. And I think it's because they kind of like jump into the joke right away. Like there's no real build up to the joke.
Yeah,
like
100%.
You understand it.
Yes.
And
yes, you choose what to lose, dude. 100%. Yeah. People think you have to have all this build up. They think there's certain like obligatory information you have to give because one, they might not know how it works, and two, they don't trust the audience. Like the audience has a very sophisticated brain. They got a brain, dude. All right. And that brain works really well.
Right.
And that brain can parse information, and that brain looks for the pattern, and it wants to fill in the gaps with information. So do not give them any information they already have. Yeah. Right. Like only give them the information that they really need. And they do this in this ad so well. I learned something about you. You have this special little like tool you use for your script writing timing. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
I use the old fashioned method. I do two things. One, I know about a word count for like different things. So I'll just shift Command C it, you know, kind of like how many words is in this. And then I will just read it out loud.
Yeah.
And time myself.
And I sometimes I have to force especially when I'm just like rewriting stuff to like, because somebody at, a client's like, can we freshen these up? And it's like, yeah, fine. I don't feel like fighting this week. So yes, like they've only been running for 3 months, but okay. Like that's fine.
Right.
We always stay on the same path or the same topic anyway. So, I I often have to force myself to read it before I send it to the voiceover, because every now and then I absolutely hate it when I haven't read it out loud, because you read it differently when you have to read
it out loud. One, because some things are just hard to say, but real easy to read in your mind. That's definitely something that happens.
Right.
And also because it takes you longer. It will always take you longer to enunciate properly and at the right cadence than even when you think you're pacing yourself well in your mind. You're still going too fast usually.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I hate it when like I get like the voiceovers and like I have to make an edit that is clearly my fault. You know,
like, you're like, why did I not? 100% it happens. It's like, I should have known that. I have
written it like that, you know?
I knew that.
I said this in 2 consecutive sentences, and I'm like, nah, I can't do that, you know? Like,
but those are little things that do matter. The difference between reading it in your mind and reading it out loud and actually hearing how it will sound. And also, I mean, I don't know, you know, for me, I read, there's a couple clients where I actually will, on the voiceover, I read them, but for most of them I'm not. But I have to try to get a sense, because everyone reads differently, right? Like this client is gonna kind of has this kind of style and has kind of this kind of pace. So like there's some clients that I know I actually have to have the scripts have to be even shorter in certain instances, because I just know based on their approach that they can't have as many words in there, you know, and that's not like a knock against them. It's just, it's the way that they speak, and for it to sound natural for them, you know,
and it depends on what the script is too, right? Like if it's something that you want, like you want it to hit home, you can't say it in like that radio spot voice, like, hey, blah, blah, blah,
or the
like,
disclaimer, the automotive ad disclaimer, you know, like speed. Yeah.
If you want, actually, it's a good question here, which I guess we can probably go, but while it's on my mind, do you have a male voiceover actor that you use? I guess the best way I can kind of describe it is like, you know, Home Depot guy voice. You know, think that's the power of the Home Depot, you know. Something similar to that is actually someone that I'm looking for that I don't have currently. If you know of anybody.
Okay. Actually, I may. Let me, you know what? This would be a great conversation to parlay into our next meeting. Well, why don't we go to the next meeting place, and then I'll let you know what I know.
Sounds good.
Awesome.